Good evening, mate. How are you?
Yeah, all right. Thank you, Johnny. Are you?
Yeah, not bad. Late one for us tonight. So we'll crack on right into the proceedings. Um, so the review on yesterday. Sorry, guys and girls. We are going to combine two takes into one. So wrap up on yesterday's proceedings before we talk about today. Well, I did rather nicely because that's what really matters at the end of the day. I put a nice cheeky bet on Popperin, the Australian 19-year-old, if I pronounced that correctly. For anyone listening on this podcast, they'll know that me and Rob are not the best linguists when it comes to pronunciations, especially when it comes to tennis. So he beat David Goffin. I saw the odds, Rob. I was two in a throw-in, and I thought, what happens in home Grand Slams? Normally there's an upset, and normally the crowd goes with their local favourite. So I knew that Goffin wasn't in the best of form, and I saw the odds, and it was 9-5 on the Australian teenager, and I thought I'd have some of that. So I put a nice little sum down, and let's put it this way, it was a nice return. So he made my day when it came to the results and matches. In terms of other kind of notable things, Yannick Sinner, after all the stuff that we were saying, but what we omitted to say was that he had a 3-hour match with Karen Khachanov the day before his match against Denis the Menace Shapovalov, which I wasn't aware of actually, and I should have been, considering this is the tennis fans podcast. But anyway, he lost in a thriller, 5 sets. And I think you lost some money, Rob, didn't you?
Yeah, I did, Johnny. I did. A little bit frustrating, actually. I should have taken a leave out of your book. The funny thing is, I said right back at the beginning, I'm going to back Osaka. I'm going to back Barty. And I have. I've put money on both of those players each way to get to the final. And, you know, no surprises so far, touch wood, those players have come through. Although I've heard that Osaka has a niggling shoulder issue that was a bit sore, apparently, you know, before the tournament. So hopefully that won't, you know, bring any too much upset to play. But I said to you the other day that Jannik Sinner, I absolutely believe he's one of the world's best players. He will be like a dynamic team. Yeah. He will be absolutely fantastic. He will win Grand Slams, and he's so young. But I did say that Denis, he has a similar age, a little bit older. He's got Grand Slams under his belt in the sense that he's played in more. He understands what goes on in a Grand Slam. And, you know, at the same time, Jannik Sinner hasn't played as many 5-setter matches. I think that was the second time he played a 5-setter as he did against Denis Shapovalov. Now, so sorry, people. I probably can't get that name right. But anyway, moving on.
And it's Yannick.
Yeah, Yannick.
Not Jannik or whatever you're saying.
No, I said Yannick. I said Yannick. Right. I said that Denis would win, and I also said that Serena Diaz would win her match against the Slovenia tennis player. And when I was reading what other analysts and what other people were saying, they're all going, no, Rob, you don't know what you're talking about. Diaz will not win. Right, because she hasn't had such a great time in Grand Slam tournaments. And Jannik Sinner will, whatever anyone says about the 3-hour match or anything else, he will win against Denis. So I thought, you know what, everyone out there? Johnny's saying it. I'm saying the opposite. I fell prey to the peer group pressure, and I went with the Slovenian, and I went with Jannik Sinner. And guess what? Diaz won, and so did Dennis win. So I feel absolutely frustrated because at the end of the day, if I'd stuck with who I thought was going to win, I would have been absolutely fine.
Go with your instincts, mate. We've spoken about that before. The data and your instincts. Data comes first in terms of form and looking at the odds and stuff, and then instinct. So not a particularly good start, huh?
That's right. That's right, Johnny. Not a particularly good start, and it doesn't get any better.
Do tell before I go into my spiel.
Right, okay. So bearing in mind that Diaz had come through, I thought, okay, so she's playing well. She is a good player, but she's going to be up against Pera. And I thought to myself, okay, Bernarda Pera, she had a fantastic match against Angelica Kerber. And she knocked out Angelica Kerber, who's number 11 in the world. And regardless of the fact, Johnny, that we say that Kerber isn't having such a great tournament, I honestly believed that Pera, on the back of knocking out Kerber, which is a bit of a shock horror, and on Australian soil, and all the other analysts were saying, and I was agreeing with them, that Diaz would be an easier match for Pera, and she should 2 sets go straight through. Guess what? She didn't. She lost 3-2. I then saw a nice little bet at 5-2 on Wawrinka beating Marton Fisofi. Marton, I'll just say Marton, fantastic Russian player. Probably remember him knocking out Daniel Medvedev in the French Open.
It's not Russian, it's Hungarian.
Oh, Hungarian, sorry, do apologise, the Hungarian. Brilliant player, did really, really well, went really far actually in that French Open. And forgive me, it's been a long day. We've been up early watching the tennis and then, a long day at work. But I didn't go for that bet because it had to mean that Wawrinka won and then Nick Kyrgios would win and also Novak would win. So I left that one out. So I thought, okay, Wawrinka should win. He didn't, but guess what? I didn't put anything on that. I thought, let me put it on Hugo Herbert, right? I thought, let's put my money on him because he's an outstanding French player. Absolutely amazing. And Nick, he is a brilliant player. I knew there was going to be a slight problem that Nick was going to have all of the Australian crowd behind him, like in a football match, cheering him on. But guess what? I'm sitting there thinking, come on, Nick has been out of the game for almost a year. He has had knee injuries and he had a torn tissue and his knee was hurting him the other day in the match. And I thought, this is Hugo, number 22 in the world. He's going to, he's doing very, very well. And guess what? It was a foregone conclusion. I thought he was winning. He was doing really well in the first 3 sets. And then guess what, Johnny? Nick comes back with a fighting full set and then a fighting 5th set. And again, he wins. So far, I've actually won nothing.
Nick who?
Kyrgios.
Yes.
It's been a long day. Come on, Johnny, because you're so amazing with
But I think he'll lose in the next round though, because you're right in a lot of what you said. He's got injury problems and stuff, and he sneaked the win out. Hugo should have won that. He's a talented French player and had a lot of good victories to his name. Definitely a top 20 player. So we'll see.
The crowd. It's the crowd.
Yeah,
he was in front. I thought, here we go, just as I predicted. And then all of a sudden, Nick did what Nick does, and he just came back. And every time Nick scored a point, the stadium were on their feet.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, we'll have to see who Nick Kyrgios plays next, because I'm going to put my money against his opponent, I think, on that basis. Some highlights and review of the matches that have gone on as well. Who's looking good at the moment? Novak smashed Shardy. Those two should never play again because Shardy has not won a single set in about 30 sets of playing Novak Djokovic. So that, I think, for tennis fans should be forbidden. That matchup is a horrible matchup. We had Nadal, who shows some impressive form. Obviously, there's some concerns around his back. He said he did enough to get the next round. Still doesn't make me want to put my money on him, I must say. It doesn't, I don't know.
No.
Doesn't sound that great.
We all know what happens when Nadal gets an injury.
Yeah. So we'll see. Hopefully he goes longer for the tournament's sake. A total kind of disaster with the Brits, really, apart from, Cameron Norrie beating the Battle of the Brits with Dan Evans. Although Dan Evans won his first ATP title, Norrie sneaked the victory. I think he was suffering from some physical ailments there, Dan Evans, but a bit of a disappointment for him, especially after the long journey. He was due to meet Nadal in round 3. So may have been a blessing in disguise or may have been an opportunity. He hasn't gone past, I think, the 4th round for a very, very long time. And on the ladies' side, just complete disaster, apart from Heather Watson, who beat Peskova, I think, in 7-6, 7-6. So apart from her and Corrie, that is it for the Brit side. In terms of other notable mentions, we had Stefanos Tsitsipas. He won, and he was quite in his on-court interview, which was almost how can I put it? It was difficult to hear, but also very refreshing in his authenticity. Jim Courier said, "How was that for you?" And he said, "Oh, I didn't think it would be that easy against Gilles Simon." But he didn't mean it in that way, but he got some booze and stuff. And he said, "Shall I leave?" But Stefanos always gives you values, the gift that keeps on giving. But he looks good. Zverev won, smashed the racket or two, but he won. So at the moment, all the top guys and girls, Serena Williams looks pretty good as well. She came through quite easy. Venus Williams lost though against Iran.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And also Halep came through. Although if you look at the scoreline, it was quite a difficult game for her. I kept an eye on that. But Halep came through. So all the usual suspects at the moment.
And Conte retired.
Through, including Kenin.
Conte retired as well.
Yeah.
He had some kind of injury, I think, during the match. So she seemed quite tearful. I feel sorry for her with her injury, but I've got serious doubts on Conte ever getting deep.
Well, I think so some players, including Kerber, said that the lockdown didn't help.
Yeah,
the quarantine.
Yeah, it helps some and doesn't help others. Some players need that kind of robotic rhythm of being out on tour and building up their form. Otherwise, some people actually, the rest really does them good, especially if they're nursing some injuries and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's not for everyone, but matches coming up. So we've done a review. Ashley Barty looked good as well. She absolutely thrashed their opponent.
Yeah, well, look. I know I'm going to have a little bit of a comeback. And also, like I said, I've got my money on Novak, Barty and Osaka at the moment to get to the finals, which is good. But I am interested to see what Kyrgios does in his next match, because he obviously isn't right. He does have a bit of a knee injury. And I do put it down to the fact that it's that lack of experience under pressure that probably let Ugo down. And if that was against anyone else, it would probably be, match finished.
But Kyrgios hasn't changed. Kyrgios got a point warning. He was very short of getting a game warning.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
he, the mindset of Kyrgios, it's box office, but it's also a complete car crash at the same time. So you never know which one turns up really. Review of the upcoming matches, mate. So I'm ahead of you because I'm doing all right so far. Touch wood. You're well behind, but I'm sure the fight back is on. So matches coming up. Danielle
yeah,
Collins against Pilskova. Who do you think's going to
yes,
that?
Collins.
Yeah, I think Collins. Ashley
Yeah.
Barty against Daria
Well, that's yeah. Well,
Gavrilova.
I can only say Barty because I've got to each way to win the final.
Yeah, the odds are horrific there. So there's not enough point
Exactly.
looking at
There's
that.
there's no point betting on.
This match could be a bit of a popcorn match. Tsitsipas against Kokkinakis. Both Kokkinakis is Greek-Australian in terms of origin. So, and Stefanos is half Greek, half Russian. So the Greek contingent of Melbourne will have their loyalty split, but I think they're going to go more for Kokkinakis because of the Australian factor. Kokkinakis was former, I think, prodigy world number one in the junior days, was touted to be in the top 5, top 10 tennis players until he's been horrifically struck with injury after injury to the point where you feel like his career was going absolutely down. So he is a very, very dangerous opponent. The odds there, I don't think reflect the seriousness that this guy could bring to the party. At the moment, the odds are showing 1-16 to Stefanos, so don't even bother. But 15-2 on Kokkinakis. I might put a cheeky few pounds on that and do a cash out scenario if I'm still up. Because for anyone listening to this, sometimes what you do is if you feel like an opponent might be worth something on the odds, you then take those odds and hope he gets in a winning position. So the odds go right down. And after that, you then cash out and you've made a good sum of money. So that fancy that. So Cameron Norrie against Roman Safulan. Never really heard of Roman, but 15-8. Usually the Brits, they apart from the glorious, wonderful Murray, can have a habit of letting you down. So I might look into this Roman guy. Then you've got Medvedev. No, that's horrific. That's only going to be one way. Nadal against Mimo.
One way.
Yeah, one way. Um,
But look, you've got some other good matches. You got Sharif against Jufan, and Sharif.
Odds on that.
Yeah, let me remind you about Sharif. Yeah, I'm just looking her up. Sharif came through the qualifying rounds. She's very much an up and coming player, but she's not the favourite to win that match. But she had a great qualifying round and she smashed her way through into this tournament. So it's an interesting one because on paper this might be the end of the line, but I can't really say that for sure. So I think that's an interesting one to watch. Certainly, you got a few other good ones in there as well. So yeah, I would agree with you, Johnny. I mean, Medvedev, he should go straight through. Um, absolutely. Rublev, you got Rublev as well playing.
Yeah.
But
You get
again,
some upsets, but I'm not sensing anything. But it's so difficult to predict. Obviously, I did sense it with the other day. I feel like the Kokkinakis one could be the danger one. In terms of the women's side, do we sense any upsets? Do you
well,
think Kevin Watson will
Sharif,
come through? I don't think so.
Sharif is 13-8 in tomorrow's match.
Hmm, that's quite tasty. That.
Yeah, it's not bad, and she's like I said, she's still very, very young, but she is a rising star.
Yeah, she is. She is a rising star. Are you going to put your money down?
Yeah, I might put it on Sheriff for sure. Let's see what she does. definitely, you know, you got Corey Goff in there as well. Tsitsipas, I still think Tsitsipas will come through, but I know what you're saying. You know, I would like to think that Tsitsipas will get the first set. That's where, again, you know, what Johnny was saying, sometimes what we try and do is, if you've got a great player, let's just say that Tsitsipas loses the first set, that is when you put some money on Tsitsipas, because on paper, Tsitsipas should come back, fight back, and, you know, take that set, take the next two on the back of that. So, but I would like to think that it might be worth a little bet. Tsitsipas first set.
Or you'd like to, but conversely, if Kokkinakis wins the first set
Correct.
and goes up in the
Then
second
I'll,
set, then I would cash out, thinking,
yes,
you know, great. Or you go through it to the whole end if you're really feeling it. But normally, with a great player and a not so great player in terms of current form, and you have a bet on it, you think, you know what, I'm not going to chance it. I'm going to win while I'm ahead, and I've made a nice tidy sum on the bookies.
absolutely. Normally, I'll watch the first 2 to 3 games, and I can
Yeah.
generally tell which way it's going to go. But if you've got a great player, and I will never forget the match between, I think it was Severev and Dominic Thiem, where Dominic Thiem went down the first couple sets.
That's right.
And I thought, you know, this is when to put the money down.
Yeah.
And he came back and he won that 5-set match. Sometimes you just know these great players only need just a little bit of magic and a bit of confidence and self-belief, and that is it. They can turn it around. But usually, if you bet on the beginning of that match, it would have, you know, been absolutely nightmare odds. And then, you know, in the third set, that was the time to put the money down. And it's happened so many times that player usually fights back. I should have done that with Kyrgios. But I honestly believe that Ugo was going to come back and still clench it. But of course, he didn't. But, you know, it's at the end of the day, it's only a bit of pocket money, people. And it's fun. And we love our tennis.
And you've learned how to say curious, which is always good.
I was a little bit tired earlier.
Yeah. Final match to review, and I think it's a popcorn match on the women's side. Goff against Svitolina. Very tight odds. Goff 13-8, Svitolina 4-9. And Svitolina has obviously been in the top 10. She's won the equivalent of the end of tour championships on the ladies' side. She dates what's he called on the men's side? I've forgotten him. It's been a long day on the men's side. The name escapes me, but she is at 49. Who do you think is going to win that?
Well, I mean, I've always liked Corey. I'd like to think that she would go through. I'd like to think she would come through.
You going to back out those odds?
I need to think about it a little bit. Maybe watch the first couple of games, see how they play out. But no, I think Corey will come through.
She goes out with Gail Monfils. That's it, Svitolina.
Oh, right, really?
Yes. So she goes out with Gail Monfils. It's 8 o'clock in the morning, so it's prime time for us. Yeah, I'm gonna follow what you said. I'm gonna look at the first few games and see what I sense, and then make a decision. But that's all, folks. Until tomorrow, we'll come back and see if Johnny's carries on in his winning spiel, and Robert carries on in his losing one. Until next time.
Take care.